So, when my vision, I actually reserved this room like almost a month ago, and it was like, we need a space where we can all gather and talk to each other face to face. And my vision for the Zoom meeting that we had like 2 weeks ago was like that would sort of tee off this event and get people wanting to come out and be in person. And the Zoom thing became like way bigger than anticipated. We had almost 400 people in there. That became like a news story, and like some of our faces were flashed on the 11 o'clock news of being angry into a good laptop. And then so I was like, oh, okay, well that was that. What do we do now? And so Ellen Clausen's here from the North Examiner, and he's been doing a really great job of covering our story here. And in a way, thank God for Alan, because we've been pretty much ignored by the Oregonian. The Willamette Week gave us like a little blurb here and there, and the TV news has actually been really great, and it's very unusual to have the TV news like lead a story, and they've been like fantastic, because I think what people don't appreciate is how engaged this neighborhood is, and both of our neighborhoods too, because I know a lot of people are here from the Pearl District. And because the siting of this is right abutted against the two of our neighborhoods here, and probably the worst possible spot in the city. And I really think the city just wants us to roll over and say, hey, you're just a bunch of cranky NIMBYs. Just we're going to wear you out and ignore you as much as we can. And sort of in a way, that is what's going on here tonight. So I invited not just everybody who came here, but also I wanted to make this space where the people that are championing and behind this plan were able to come here and talk about the plan and hopefully receive some of our feedback about our concerns about the plan in sort of a way that they say they want, but apparently they don't. So I sent invitations out to the 3 commissioners, to the mayor's office, to Megan Moore County, the executive directors of Rosehaven, of Blanchet House, and one after one, each said that they couldn't attend. So I have. So this is what they said. So from Councilor Zimmerman, I have the emails here. Unfortunately, Councilor Zimmerman has a pre-existing obligation and conflict. Please remove him from the included guests. That would be appreciated. Councilor Green today says, hey, thanks Todd for the reminder. Councilor Green is not available for this event. That's from his chief of staff. Councilor Clark, hi Todd, thank you for the invitation. Councilor Clark is out of town, but she is actively meeting with Mayor Wilson and neighborhood stakeholders to gather information. I don't know about you, but I have yet to talk at all with Councilor Clark. Has anybody here had in conversation with Clark? One person, okay, well that's good. We got one person on the case here. She says she will continue to monitor the issue. Rosehaven says, thank you for the invitation. I attended the last Northwest District Association meeting via Zoom and did not find it to be very solution-oriented. We will not attend the meeting this Monday. That's from Katie O'Brien, Executive Director there. Blanchet House, unfortunately, I will not be able to attend. Nevertheless, we look forward to future opportunities to collaborate and engage in productive, cooperative ways. That's from Scott, the Executive Director. Megan Moyer, thank you for this invitation. Unfortunately, she is at a conference during a meeting. The Salvation Army wrote this morning, they said they're definitely coming, and then at 2:30 this afternoon they said, Todd, I sincerely apologize, but the Salvation Army will need to withdraw as a scheduled speaker at the NWDA meeting tonight. I wish you a productive meeting. And for Mayor Wilson's part, we did not receive any response from that office. So I think what we're facing here is what we all sort of fear, that we're being abandoned in a way to a bad plan, and the people behind the plan aren't willing to come and face up to that fact and address our real concerns. So I wrote a couple words down. I hope you forgive me for reading off of some of this off a page, but I think, at least from my perspective, I think my personal concerns is like, what is love and compassion here? Because that's what we're really talking about. It's when, where I come from, when I grew up, love and compassion were tools to help people become better versions of themselves. And they're not tools to drive people into a deeper dependency. Compassion was given to allow space to let people elevate themselves. It's not a tool to make the virtuous feel better about themselves and agnostic about the outcomes of those they purport to help. Because compassion must come with responsibility, and responsibility comes from the giver of that compassion. And they have to be sure that their good intentions aren't being warped into a darker place, which I think is what we see every day. We want a system that elevates people and doesn't create a black hole of death and destruction, and that is what we see. Synthetic drugs are the real problem here, and they're an attack on our community. They're an attack on our compassionate nature here, because what we're dealing with at its base level is a cancerous drug problem that feeds on good intentions. It feeds on naivete and unaccountable solutions. We have this cancerous drug problem that somehow creates mysteriously funded nonprofits who somehow have millions of dollars to buy up prime real estate in the Northwest District, and then have the audacity to tell or insinuate that to the neighbors that whatever chaos comes, that if it's outside their walls, then the neighborhood's going to have to bear the cost of that outcome. On top of this, we have a city that is so incompetent that it accepts at face value presentations that say factors unrelated to homelessness include drugs, poverty, and mental illness. That was at a presentation of the City Council Homeless Committee on April 22nd. I was shocked when I saw it. They said, it's not about drugs, it's not about poverty, it's about mental. I don't know what it's about. They think it's about tight housing, I guess. That's not what the people we see on the street every day they're not there because of tight housing, okay? I mean, not that that's not a problem, but it's not the problem that brought us out here tonight. So, we have a county that spends $750 million, $750 million just last year. And as a result, the problem only grows. We have a state and a governor who say, well, as a solution, build low barrier, high capacity overnight shelters anywhere you want. That is the law that we're facing here, and that's why we're sort of in a pickle. The law says, like, hey, if you want to build a huge mass shelter next to a school, that's fine. In a high density and fragile neighborhood, that's fine. Abutting next to an interstate highway that ODOT just like a week or two ago has explicitly said that they will absolutely not make any money available to clean it up if and when chaos erupts, that is fine too. There's nothing we can do about it. I think what we're here is we're victims of not only a vicious and cancerous drug crisis, but we're also the victims of clownish and performative and apparently scared of you people and us. We have electeds that refuse to open their eyes to reality and refuse to show their faces in public, apparently, when their constituents demand accountability and explanations for their plans and actions. And I say, and what I'm hearing from everybody is enough's enough. We're not going to surrender our community to drugs and depravity. We're not going to surrender our community to incautious campaign promises. We're not going to surrender our community to unaccountable and mysteriously funded nonprofits. We're not going to surrender our community to an incompetent city and county. This is our community. That's why we're here. And we're going to fight for the totality of its well-being. What we need to fight for is our safety, of course. We're going to fight for our safe streets. We're going to fight for our families, and we're going to fight for our children. And we're going to fight the rising tide of bad ideas that are threatening to drown our community under a flood of fentanyl and synthetic drugs. And there's people, probably some here tonight, that are going to tell you that our vibrant and beautiful neighborhood is oppressive, that we're unloving and uncaring people. The people who say these things don't remember that the Northwest District was not long ago considered blighted. They don't remember that Slabtown was once a term of derision. They don't remember or care that the Pearl District was recently a post-industrial train yard and warehouse district. I mean, that was 20 years ago. They don't remember or care that this community has been revitalized, rebuilt, and reinvigorated into a beautiful and thriving community. What they will say is that we have a duty to turn over our neighborhoods to drug dealers, that we have a duty to turn over our neighborhood to the drug dependent, that we have a duty to turn over our neighborhood to criminal behavior, and that we have a duty to accept antisocial behavior. And that we should do so while receiving few, if any, services from the city, and that And all negative consequences should be absorbed by the neighborhood. And why? Because our hard work and success is holding other people down? Because we're somehow responsible for the great street suffering we see every day? We want to help, but we're not the cause. And I will say to the people that are trying to paint us as uncaring people, like, I will fight for your right to say silly and foolish and ridiculous things and ideas. But also, I'm going to fight to prevent you from materializing those silly and foolish and ridiculous ideas, unproven and cautious projects that, in a real sense, threaten to destabilize our community. Finally, to the city and the mayor, who couldn't be bothered to show up, any of them tonight, what I'm saying is come to us with a real plan. A plan that has proven successes. Come to us with a real plan that isn't fast-tracked and a half-baked campaign promise. Come to us with a real plan that takes safety seriously. And finally, come to us with a real plan, one when you're not afraid to show your faces.